Hello, fellow hams, CBers, shortwave listeners, and anyone else that may have found our stream. A hearty welcome to you, whether you are in the field, in the shack, or somewhere in between. I'm Tracy VE3TWM, and I'm joined by my co-hosts and friends, Chris, Kilo 2, Charlie Juliet Bravo, and Tim, November 9, Sierra Alpha Bravo. If you're attending the live stream, we encourage you to drop a question into the chat. If you're watching this as a video post-event and have a question for us, please leave a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. This stream is being broadcast both on my YouTube channel, Outdoors on the Air, and Chris's YouTube channel, Kilo 2, Charlie Juliet Bravo Radio. A quick note, we don't have a moderator, so we may not get a chance to respond directly to any comments you make during the stream. I'll try my best to get to them all, but if we don't respond directly to your comment, it only means the conversation could not be gracefully interrupted at that point. Tonight's stream is the latest in our Ham Heroes series. With this series, we profile people who are making a unique and positive contribution to the great hobby of radio. This month, our special guest is Walt Hudson, Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf Oscar. Walt hails from Virginia. His YouTube channel is Coastal Waves and Wires. Before we get into the details of Walt's effort, let's go round the table and see what the crew has been up to. For myself, the car is all packed and ready to go. Tomorrow, I'm off to Presque Isle Provincial Park on Lake Ontario's North Shore. I have two missions this weekend. The first is to activate the park for Parks on the Air from the shore of Lake Ontario in order to notch my fourth Great Lake in my quest to operate a ham radio station from the shores of all 5 Great Lakes. I'll do that with my Yaesu FT897D, which I've used for the other Great Lake activations I've done. Next up, I intend to operate in the giant CQ Worldwide Single Sideband DX contest, which is taking place this weekend. No big deal, you say? I'll be using my QRP Yaesu FT817ND to do that. So I've got my work cut out for me. Hey, Chris, over to you. What's been keeping you busy?
Well, first of all, I'm going to operate CQ Worldwide, but I'm not doing a QRP. I'm going to sit right here with my trusty FTDX 3000 and go have some fun. I'll tell you what, up there is my DXCC, which I got just last year, actually.
Congratulations.
And most of that was earned doing CQ Worldwide contests. So it's a great event if you're chasing some DX looking for that award. So latest thing for me, it was recently, a couple of weeks ago, I put up a CB antenna. I'll refer to it as 11-meter antenna. And it was an interesting project. I got this antenna, put it together, and it has like these 2 big nuts on it to tune it. And long story short, I never got it really resonant on 27 megahertz, which I found really interesting. It's resonant just below. So, of course, some people like recommended, well, why don't you trim the antenna? I was like, well, it's made out of fiberglass, so you really can't just cut it. So and you can't, there's no other adjustments on it. It's just those rings. Anyway, so I did that. But here's the cool thing. I have an old Radio Shack 10-meter rig here, which is, I bought it used on eBay and it was old then, right? And I made a contact to a guy in France the other day. I happen to have it on. I'm tuning around, and I hear this guy in France, and I worked him with this old Radio Shack going through that 11-meter antenna, which is definitely not resonant in 10 meters, but it worked. I was like, hey, okay, it worked. So that's been my latest. But CQ Worldwide, that's my plan for the weekend. So
very cool. Hey, how about you, Tim? What's going on over there?
Well, I'm not nearly as busy as it seems as everybody else, but I've got my hands full. So I've been working with the 3D printer. So these are guards built for the FT817. They got little feet. Yeah, they got little feet that go on them here.
Oh.
Take this. Actually, we're big in Australia, by the way, if you didn't know. So
Who's
I've been hearing a lot from our Australian friends.
N9 SAB?
The proverbial we?
Yeah, proverbial we. No, I meant your show. Your show is big in Australia. So check it out. They got little feet.
Oh, nicely done.
And yeah, so this is printed in ASA, which is like a weatherized, weatherproof version of ABS. So this kind of stuff has been keeping me busy. Lots and lots of antennas. I don't really ever get to operate anymore, but over at our lake house, I put up a little random wire 40-meter random wire antenna, and I've been having a lot of fun digital with that. So
Nice.
in fact, Walt did a video not too long ago on the little vertical antenna. I forget what it was called or whatever it is, which is basically a random wire stuck up straight in the air.
Right.
Which I don't. At least the one I make, I have a fun time on 10 meters with, but who knows? Anyway, so that's. Other than that, busy, raking leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, who is it, right? well, Walt's down south, so
That
he
time of
doesn't
year.
have a whole lot of.
Oh, he's in the Old Dominion. That's
Yeah, he certainly is.
sorry about that.
Okay, last but certainly not least,
Right.
Walt, what's
Oh,
going on over there?
Hey, it's just first off, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. This is wonderful. For me, I'm just getting ready to pack up and head back over to Poland for work in about 8 days. Monday the 7th, I head back over. Here, I've been trying to cram all the local beach and right here in my harbor portable activations as I can, because I'll miss them greatly when I'm overseas. But just operating as portable. You're talking about the contest this weekend. I'm going to go Saturday morning down to Virginia Beach, and I'm going to put up something random. You guys have probably heard of this, the Ribikoff, which is basically a vertical random wire, about 25 foot, non-resident with a 4-to-1 under it. I'm going to play around with that. First time I've used that. I mean, and I know you always get these, no, you should do that. You should put up a quarter wave, whatever. That's one of the things when people comment on my videos all the time. I'm like, I know that. I want to play with something else. You know what I mean? So I'm going to play with something else, because what better time to try an antenna that's a big compromise and it's not the greatest, but during the CQ Worldwide contest, I'll get some contacts out of it for sure. So that's what I got coming up this weekend. But other than that, man, it's just enjoying the hobby. Really am.
Very cool. Yeah, and you know what? You have not had your YouTube channel for very long. I just want to, just to alert viewers to this. So your YouTube channel, Coastal Waves and Wires, and you've got some really interesting stuff up here. Walt, before we get into Coastal Waves and Wires and all that, how did you get started in ham radio?
Wow, it goes way back. I like to say how I got started in the radio hobby. It goes all the way back. I was like 9 years old. We lived right on the sea. The beach was right across the street from my front porch, looked out at the water. And I remember as a kid, I got a little AM radio when I was about 9, and I would lay it, when your mom's tells you to go to bed and you don't want to go to bed. And I had a little earphone, back then, and I would lay in bed and I was like, here in coastal Virginia, and then, I'm tuning in AM radio stations all over the place. And this is the early 70s, so radio was really good. AM radio was really good then. And I just got really intrigued and really getting into, I didn't really log these stations, but I would remember, oh, wow, yeah, this is, WLS, this is Chicago or whatever, all over the place. And got into listening then. And then at about age 12, I discovered shortwave radio, and that's when the bug really got me. I built a kit. My first shortwave receiver was a Radio Shack Globe Patrol.
I had one of those.
Yeah, it was like in 1974. It was $29.99 for a kid. A 12-year-old kid in 1974, $29.99 was a lot of money.
The $1 million.
Okay, can I tell you? I had a paper route, 100 papers every week. I got a penny a paper.
Wow.
Now that doesn't last long when you're trying to save up for a $29 Radio Shack radio.
I did a big bar stole, and then I finally got, my parents put like the last $10 in. And I got this thing. It took me about a day and a half to build it, and I'll never forget. I went bedroom window. I just threw a wire out, screwed into the back, and tuned around. I guess it was like 49-meter band, and listened to Radio Prague. And you got to remember, this is like 74, so it's like Cold War, and that's oh my God, I'm listening to the other side of the Iron Curtain. You know what I mean? And it's I got into shortwave listening really heavy. And then right about that time too, that's when the CB craze was really big. So, and then, I got into, we'll just say 11 meters. I got.
Hey, Walt, before you go too far down that path, though, I want to ask you one question about the Globe Patrol, because
Yeah.
there were a group of us in our neighborhood who had Globe Patrols, and we made one very important modification to them. I'm just wondering if you guys did it. If you went to Radio Shack, you could spend $2 or $3 and you could get a vernier dial. You would mount that over the potentiometer, and that way, rather than having this big thing that sort of, with 1/4 turn went from one side to the other,
Right.
you could now smoothly turn. Did you ever do that?
Did not. Now I wish if I could go back in time, I would do that. Mine was just that, if you remember, it screwed in. It was just that plastic needle, and it was like,
Yep.
like,
Yep. Okay,
I mean,
fair enough. I just thought I'd ask.
you can literally go from 19 meters all the way over to 49 meters like that. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Well, exactly. And so people, I would show this to people, and they would say, well, how do you know what frequency you're on? Well, the answer was, well, with the Globe Patrol, you never really knew what frequency you were on anyway, because the tuning was so broad on it.
Right. Well, I was a shortwave listener forever. Still hobbied around with building stuff. I had satellite television basically for free. You got the old Nuts and Bolts book, and somebody had an article in there how to build a satellite television setup for $50 US. This was in the 80s. I did that. And that was awesome. And it just always was a hobbyist and listened. And then I've only been a licensed ham for a couple of years. I just got it a couple of years ago, got my license, and here I am. I'm an engineer. I'm a structural engineer. So don't hold that against me. I should have majored in electrical engineering maybe, but anyway. But I've always had a love for radio. But I work in shipbuilding, and I try, like with my channel, what I try to do is, I'm a field engineer. I'm the guy. I'm not really the theory guy. I'm not the guy sitting there, running calcs and doing straight theory. I'm the guy, the practical guy, that when something's designed and built, I'm down there tweaking it and making it work. And I try to bring that to my channel. A lot of guys, they go and they'll go over an antenna, and I love these guys. This is no negative to them, but they'll just sit there and explain an antenna to you on YouTube, and they'll give you the far field plot, and they'll tell you it's resident here, this is your loss, this is everything, and then okay, see you next time. I'm not that guy. I like to think that maybe I would appeal to more of a beginning ham, or maybe even someone who's been in the hobby for a while, is like, look, I'm just gonna, like, I got an idea, and when I see an antenna that I like, I research it, and I watch the other guys and all the theory and everything, and then cut the wires, do whatever. I just go out and put it up and operate. You know what I mean? That's really what I'm trying to show you. Like, this antenna works. Of course, there's Tim, we were joking, sad hams. Of course, there's always a comment in there. Well, you did this wrong, or no, or this antenna is better than that antenna.
URP is 5 watts.
Kind of the premise.
Okay.
I've only been a ham for a couple of years, but I came in. I've had a YouTube channel for a year. Last week, I think, was my 1 year mark, and I started the channel because I was looking for what I do. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't find this, and I was going to Hawaii for a month to work, and I was trying to find things on basically operating. I knew, enough as an engineer of the ground effect of salt water. And I like, I read some technical papers. And I was like, yeah, this is great or whatever. But then I made the ultimate mistake. I went on Facebook and asked the question in a group. Okay, I'm going to Kauai, and I'm going to be 5 watt, taking a 5 watt radio with me, and I'm going to build a vertical 5, and then everybody's like, you need to build a dipole, you need to do that will never work, you won't make any contacts or whatever. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to videotape it, I'm going to put it up on YouTube, and I'm going to show all you guys that I will make this work. And when I got there, it's like my first video. I got there and with a little 5 watt Zygu radio and this QRP guys tri-band vertical. I got on and I'm making contacts. One of them was 5 watts SSB voice. I talked to New Zealand, and what people don't realize is New Zealand is not close to Hawaii. It's like 5,000 miles away. And then the bug bit me. I was like, that was cool. You know what I mean? I don't like make a video every time I go portable. I was like, you know what though? I want to experiment with new things and make videos about it. And then the channel just took off.
Well, the algo recommended your channel to me.
Wow.
And I was just flipping through one day, and there's just, and there's, because I got this ham radio videos, stream coming through all the time. And I forget which video it was, but it was Coastal Waves and Wire. So that sounds cool. Let's check it out. And yeah, you were there on the beach with the whatever the hell it was at the time. And I was just like, okay, but you had a cool video stage presence there.
Well, thanks. I go back to those, like say 9, 10 months ago, 11 months ago, and look at those videos and cringe now. Those sad some of them, I'm like, oh.
no. Your best one was the what was it, the Karen lady?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was my favorite.
That way, a block down the street from me. I live right on the water.
Hang on.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Yeah, anyway, there's a lady down there, the HOA president of a little condo set down there. It's an old building they turned into condos, and she just came out and started letting me have it. I'm like, wait a minute. I did go to City Hall the next day and got the and looked at the plot, the where I was at compared to her property, and I was on city property. I wasn't on her property. To boot. So that's what she looked like too.
Who are you listening to, Paul? What's with that antenna? Talking to Putin?
You know what was funny was I was actually filming a video.
Yeah.
She to this day doesn't know she's in the video. I just kind of did one of these with the camera, and basically to protect myself too. You know what I mean? She was coming at me. I wanted to have this on video.
Who are these people?
The video was ruined, but it ended up being, one of the best videos I've got on as far as numbers.
It's my favorite.
Yep.
Stuff like that is really cool. I was filming a video when I was doing my Great Lakes on the Air at Lake Erie, and I had my 50-foot DX wire mast, and it was suspending one of Tim's antennas there. And I had a couple of different people come up to me. Sadly, the camera wasn't running, but they at different times, 2 different people asked me, why are you using such a long fishing pole?
All the time I get that one.
I want to catch big fish.
I actually had we have locally, instead it's like a game warden, but we have the Marine Patrol because it's saltwater, and they're like fisheries or whatever. And I've had a guy come up to me and goes, sir, do you have a fishing license? I go, no, but I have FCC license on the radio right now, so I've had that.
I had a guy, we talk about like people walking up to you while you're shooting a video. I was doing a POTA one of my early POTA activations. I was in this park in Pennsylvania, and I got the rig set up on the tailgate of my truck, and I got the big pole up, the crappy pole with the Tim's Link dipole up, right? And I'm trying to make contacts, and at this park they had a golf, frisbee golf course, right? So this guy, his lunch hour comes over, he's parked next to me, and the first thing is he's taking off his shirt, right? He's changing, right? And I was like, I'm looking at my camera, I record everything on my phone, right? So I'm like, I hope I'm not picking this up, right? So, and then he's got to walk over. He goes, oh, what is that, a CB? I was like, yeah, you could call it that, And, he said, well, who are you talking to? I said, I just talked to somebody in Georgia. And he's like, really, on a CB? Yeah, well, it's kind of like a CB. What am I going to try to explain this? I kept part of it, and I put it in the video.
Frisbee golf is usually done in conjunction with other activities too. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
The frisbee golf people will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy frisbee golf.
All I know is that this guy showed up and he was starting to take his clothes off. I was like, I'm good, man.
I wasn't sober.
Never happened to me was, and I think I mentioned it in the Karen HOA video, was I was on the beach, and I had the antenna up, and I'm down by there, and this woman came up to me. She goes, "Are you listening to Wales?" And I'm like, it took me a second. I said, "Excuse me." She goes, "Are you listening to the Whales?" And I kind of put 2 and 2 together. She must think I'm like a marine biologist or something or whatever. And I said, no. I said, I'm just a radio nerd. I'm a ham radio operator talking to people around the world. She goes, "Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were talking to whales or listening to whales." I was like, makes sense when you see people aren't expecting to see a wire go into the water with a radio. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
My counterpoise that way. So
right. Hey, David Vaughn's got a good comment here, and he's absolutely right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so one of those people that asked me why I was using such a big fishing pole, I showed her my logbook and I said, hey, listen, here's what I'm doing. And look at, I've talked to people in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania, and, you know, just rattled off the states. And it's like, whoa, really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So great opportunity. Good call, David.
I think I handled that one well, but I'm a little bit more prepared for the next time. You know what I mean? I'm just going to say, listen, I'm here working emergency operations, communications. So if we have a hurricane and the things go down, I'm going to be the person to save you, to give you communications out of here. And I'm licensed by the Federal Communications Commission. And
There you go.
I'll lay a line of BS on.
Oh, they love authority. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. I got a license. You get like a little
You know,
card.
it's funny that
get your license in like a wallet size and just
right.
But it's funny though how people will ask. I was coming back from another activation. I was walking back to my truck and I had like the backpack on. I had like, my PVC with the antenna stuff in it. I'm walking back and this lady looks at me and says, "Are you here doing science experiments?" I was like, No. I said, I said, well, it was science. I said, I was operating a ham radio and I was explaining to her what I was doing. And she was just like, her dog was like wanting to say, the dog had enough. The dog's like, I got to go for a walk. So,
that gives me an idea. We need ham radio badges.
That'd be cool.
Oh, come on. You guys don't have ham radio badges?
you got to go to Hamfest to get those.
Yeah. You know, ham radio operator.
You don't have
Nothing to see here. Move along. Oh dear.
Oh man.
So my club just had its 50th anniversary, and they made up one of these for every member.
Nice.
That was nice.
Now, Bark is the Burlington.
Just watch YouTube. I can tell you every table at Dayton, and I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Because there was so many videos the week after. I saw the whole convention.
Yeah.
Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, it's like, wow, how many Dayton ham radio videos can we get up here this week? It was pretty crazy.
Sure, and if you've got a YouTube channel, you can walk down one aisle. There's 5 videos for you. You walk down the next aisle, and you can just bankroll them, and you can play them on forever. And you know the way YouTube works. I know Chris, you've seen this. Walt, you've probably been around long enough to see it too. Is like quality doesn't matter. Frequency matters. If you are publishing 1 or more a week, then cumulatively you're going to get those views up, and the monetization is going to come in. I am very lucky, and I have to work really hard to get 1 a month. So that's why I'm at 15,000 now, as you were saying, Tim. But I don't know I don't know if I've got much of a ceiling above that, because I just can't produce the volume that a lot of other guys do.
1,000 is quality, brother. You know, and it's like, you still, I mean, even years ago when I first started watching you, there's some of the best produced videos out there at the time, and the rest of the world has finally caught up. But still, I would rather watch your stuff like on the Edmund Fitzgerald, right? I would rather watch that than another whatever it is that's coming out next month or something. It's just, but that's my taste.
Thank you.
It's not everybody.
And sorry, I wasn't fishing for a compliment there. I'm just saying that this seems to be the way of it. I mean, if you can crank the stuff out, you're going to get people that are just coming back every day or every couple of days.
It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. The more content you put out there, if you raise that denominator, you're going to get X number of views. But for the good quality stuff, you have to be a YouTube or streaming media connoisseur for this kind of thing.
I get that. I tell you, here's how I feel about it. Like, I'm definitely not doing it for the money. I mean, I don't need, I'll be honest, I'm monetized.
Nobody's doing any of this for money.
This is true.
I don't really need the, I don't know what we'll call it, the dopamine hit of having a whole lot of likes and followers. I would love to have, I'd love to have Tracy's 15,000 subscribers. Sure, it's fun. But my attitude with making videos, and I probably do 1 a week, or one every 10 days sometimes, between 10 days. I just don't want to have it to be a job. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, I got to get a video out. I don't want to. The other thing is And listen, there's some great like product reviews, and some of my videos look like reviews, but I'll be honest with you, no one's ever. I've gotten one thing given to me, and it was given to me by Tim. He gave me a choke, 1-to-1 choke when I got that dipole. It's the only thing that's ever been like, here, you need, and that was just him being nice. You're gonna need this. You know, I didn't think to order it, but I don't like. I'll be honest with you. I've had a couple people contact me and said, we'd like for you to do a product review. We'll send you this review, whatever. And I thought about it. I'll be honest with you, it was flattering at first. I'm like, all right, you know, I made it. I got people wanting to give me things. But then I looked at like one of them recently, and I looked, and there's already like 6 or 7 guys that have already done the review for these people. And I'm like, you know, and it was a $25 part. I mean, you know, like, I don't care about that. And I'll be honest with you. I don't, you know, there's guys that I really think a whole lot of, and I follow, I subscribe, and I watch or whatever. And I can see their channels getting to be like, you know, let's talk about coax over and over and over again. And I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd rather just have fun. I mean, hopefully when I do my videos, you see me, I'm excited. I mean, maybe I'm just naive enough to be like, oh, this is so great. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of how I feel. You know what I mean? When I'm operating, I'm excited. You know what I mean? Like, that's so cool, you know, and that's, I really want to stay down that path. And, you know what? Now, Yezu will probably contact me tomorrow and want to give me a radio, and I'll be like, yeah, send it. But, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what my mindset is, yeah.
Well, Walt, you hit it on the head. You don't want it to become a job. You really don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And for some people, it is a job, and it is. And you can make a decent amount of money if you do that. Those videos are fun sometimes, you know. But when I have a limited period of time that I can devote to, you know, just, you know, dedicating myself to watching this or watching that, and, you know, the cream tends to rise to the top. That's all. Very selective about those kinds of things, because there are more channels now. There's probably 4 or 5 times as many channels as there were 3 or 4 years ago.
10 times. I will guarantee you 10 times anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot.
Just remember, algo. I found your channel because somehow the algo figured out that I wanted to watch your channel as opposed to others.
No, I mean,
there's a small club of like the smaller, the medium sized, the smaller channels. You've got Tracy. You've got like the Radio Prepare. You've got the Coastal Waves and Wires. You've got, you know, and those guys, and those are the ones that I actually look forward to. And I see them come up on the feed. It's like, okay, let's pause for a minute and see what's going on here. No,
you notice he didn't mention my channel. Just saying.
So go ahead.
When this first came up, I said, let me go. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm already subscribed. That's good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I am too.
I'm a topic guy. Usually, like, you know, I'll get notifications from people, and they'll just slide through. I usually get on YouTube every day, and if I'm investigating an antenna, it's like one guy, this guy, I'm Facebook friends with this guy. Honestly, I consider him somewhat my YouTube Elmer, and you guys had him on before me, which I'm flattered that I'm here. That's Tim, you know, G5TM, Tim.
Oh,
I want to put together this antenna Saturday that I'm going to use during the contest, that Ribikoff antenna. So I can't find I found a couple little things on the internet about it. I'm trying to read some technical stuff about it. So I get on YouTube, type in Ribikoff, and Tim's video from about 8 months ago is the first one that pops up. And it was awesome. I mean, it was kind of what I was saying. It was, Tim has a great channel for like going through all you can tell he's a teacher or a professor. I mean, he went through all of the theory and everything about it. I'm like, okay, cool. I like this antenna. And now I want to carry it a step farther and just throw this thing up and show that it works. You know what I mean? And mine are a little different because I know there's a lot of people that maybe live in, you know, the middle of the country, middle of Canada, middle of anywhere that are landlocked and can't do what I do. Because, you know, I don't need a big, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, counterpoise wires. I just dip a wire right into the ocean, and I've got the most awesome, you know, ground plane there is. So mine are a little different with that, but still, you know, from the feed point up, it's the same antenna. You know what I mean? And I just like to show it, and looking forward to doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, Tim's the exception. That guy's prolific though too. I mean,
yes.
He's not only putting out a lot of content, but it's like all of it's good. You know, there are too And in fact, I've never seen a bad video from him. So,
Hmm.
and I always like to learn stuff. I'm always learning stuff from him. And
I'll tell you what's really cool too. Tim found me and content. He was one of the first, I like to say, bigger YouTube guys. That he found me and you know, he messaged me. He's like, Walt, your content's great. Keep doing what you're doing. He was positive to me, which, like, you know, when you're just getting started and then
it had to be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, that, you know, it made me feel great. So that was cool.
Tracy never contacted me. I had to email him, and you know, I think
he did it in the comments to start with. You know what I mean?
I think I had to look him up on QRZ and send him like a registered letter or something. You know,
he did that. And we friended each other on Facebook. You know,
he's like, "Who's this guy? This guy keeps bugging me."
So Walt, I'll tell you what, like the way Tim was for you, Tracy was for me. It was like one day I got contacted by this guy who when I was first getting into QRP and doing field radio, Tracy's one of the first channels I subscribed to. So I'm just doing my thing, and I was doing my little channel. All of a sudden, I get contacted by this guy. I'm like, "Wow, it's this guy from Outdoors on the Air." I said, "I watch everything he puts out." So, and we actually did a collab video where we tried to contact each other. And I said, "Well, I remember I got home and got all my stuff set up in the yard." I said, "I got to try to contact this," and the conditions were just not working. Yeah. We barely got a contact out, but yeah. It's good to have somebody like that when you first get started doing things.
We're not like the best of friends of anything, but he was just the first big guy that, you know, that subscribed to my channel and started commenting. You know, I'm like, oh wow, okay, I think somewhere.
Yeah. You know? Tim's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Tracy's the first time I contacted you. Tracy and I tried to do contacts for a year, I think, right? It was like a year or 2 years. Just trying, and you're not that far away. Literally, you're just a Michigan away. More or less,
pretty much.
Like, and we couldn't hear each other on 40 for a while.
No, it's kind of funny that almost like a dead zone. But you have an issue there at your local.
No, I have many.
right? Yeah, there's a lot of noise there.
Which I'm surprised that Walt doesn't. I don't know that he doesn't, but you wouldn't experience the same thing. I mean, his metropolitan area is just as dense as mine. You know, but you know, I am. How close are you to like Dulles, or they don't call it Dulles?
I'm all the way to Dulles. I'm all the way in the southeastern corner of Virginia. I mean, I'm 15 or 16 miles from the North Carolina state line. I'm way down south.
All right. See, I could be at O'Hare in 30 minutes for my driveway. So you know, and we've got a little regional airport here and another regional airport, and it's, you know, and then we got broadcast, we've got all of this stuff. So 40 it's just not something I do. You know?
I struggle with 42. I really do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is my shack here. I don't operate a whole lot from my home QD. I go portable. I mean, like the video I just put up with that halfway vertical, that's literally across the street. I just run across the street and stick the antenna up and sit on the seawall and jab, you know, and have a good time.
You know what happens.
So Walt, let's dig into that a little bit more, because you've got something there which is really special, and that's the ability to sit by the ocean. You got that beautiful bed of salt water right there. What is it like? Like what how would you describe operating on the ocean side?
It's amazing. You know, I did a video and everyone talks about the saltwater amplifier. It really is. I mean, it's like, it's hard to explain. I mean, you know, Callum McCormick, DX Commander, did a great video on the old channel before it went down. He had one with all the theory in it and everything, but basically it just gives you 10 dB, and no matter what you have, you have an antenna that's just horrible. But if it's a vertical and you're relying on a ground plane, it'll make it work. You know, and that's how. I mean, I've talked to with a QRP rig. I talked to Belgium, right there on the seawall, and me and the guy took it down to like 100 milliwatts, and I was still talking to Belgium.
Now that was single sideband, right?
Single voice, yeah, single sideband. I mean, that's how amazing being by saltwater is. It really is. The sad thing is, you know, you guys, you being up on the Great Lakes, I go up to work. I go up to Marinette, Wisconsin, which is right on the Michigan Menominee. There's a shipyard up there. I go up there to work, and I've been, you know, there on Green Bay, and I might as well, you know, be at a swimming pool. It's not. It's the salinity of the water that does it.
Mm.
Mm.
I've been to Marinette several times.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okinawa, Marinette. It's on the way to the Sioux.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's the scenario. Walt's told me that, you know what, go down to the seashore. You're going to have a great time operating. What do I need to bring with me to effectively set up a station, handle the wind, everything else that's going on? What do I need to pack in order to have a good station there, Walt?
I'll be honest with you. I take all of mine in a little bag. You know, the extra, like if you guys been in like a TJ Maxx or something, you buy them for $1, the little Tyvek type bags. I can put everything. When I take, let's say by Zygo G90, it's small. I got a little I pop the radio in, the battery in, whatever. Let's just say let's say I'm going to make a quarter wave vertical. I'll take 16.5 feet of wire, roll it up, put it in there, my pole, whatever I'm going to stick it in. And I can literally, a lot of the reasons this is form and function too for me. Some of the beaches I go to, I have to like walk over a dune and then down carrying a lawn chair with me as well. So, you know, I try to, everything's on me, and it's kind of primitive. You see all these guys, and this may be a good video to do one day, is put together a really good backpack kit or whatever and do it right. But I'm kind of like low rent right now. I just put it in a grocery bag and walk down to the beach.
Well, have you ever seen Peter VK3YE? He's not Mr. Fancy.
No, he's not.
And he gets results.
When I first got started about 2 years ago as a ham, I always knew that this saltwater thing was going to be a deal for me. I bought his books, you know, his QRP books and all that, and I've read everything that he's put out. And yeah, that guy's amazing. He really is. You're right. It's pretty. I'm kind of that primitive too at times.
He doesn't even bring a chair with him. I mean, he sits wherever
I tell you, one of these days I'm going to start a GoFundMe. We're going to get that man a pair of shoes.
A pair of shoes, yes. Pair of shoes and a chair, folding chair.
I love that stuff.
You
He
know,
has that video where he's sitting in the backyard and he's like winding toroids or something like that. And right, mate, you do it like this. You come over there, and they're the ugliest toroids you've ever seen in your entire life, right? But it plugs them in, they start working. I love that stuff. So, what's the word for it? Minimalist, I guess. You know, it's anyway.
No. Well, you haven't seen my toroids, so they're not good.
So, Walt, let's take a look at some of the stuff you've done. I'm curious about. Number one, you did a video on flying with ham radio gear. I've never done this. Can you give us some tips?
I've done it a lot. Yeah. Number one tip is battery. You cannot travel with anything more than 100 watt hours. So basically, you're limited to a small battery. When I'm traveling, usually I have my 6 amp hour LiFePo 4. You have to carry it on with you. I've never had a problem through TSA. I've gone through all over the states TSA. I've been through Finland, Amsterdam, Germany, all kinds of places. Never a question. I went through Munich, Germany, and man, they were stopping people and going through bags. And I had my bag with a battery and radio in it, and I set it down. And I looked at the guy. I said, I have ham radio gear in there. Do you need me to take it out like a laptop? No. Put it through. Went right through. I went down the other end, put my shoes back on, put my belt back on, grabbed my bag, and took off. So I never have a problem with it. It's easy. Now, I say this, I knock on wood. I've never had a problem, ever.
Now, when you cross like that, do they ask you for your license, a copy of your license, or your what is it, the CEPT form you've got to have when you're traveling internationally?
I keep it on me, on my person all the time. I haven't been asked for it yet, but that could happen. I don't know, but I keep the CEPT paperwork with me and my FCC license. I mean, naturally, I've got my passport when I'm traveling, but I've never, you know, I've crossed the pond and back 4 times with ham radio gear, and it's never been a question.
Very cool. All right,
Someone's saying hi from Tasmania. I told you we were big in Australia.
Was that the royal we again, Tim?
Well, it's me and you and Walt and
all of us. I got a well. I got a yeah. I got an email from a gentleman in Tasmania last week.
Nice.
Okay, so you touched on this a little bit already. So I'm going to give you this scenario here, Walt. Okay, here you go. You know, we got the CQ Worldwide going on this weekend. You're going to head down to the beach. You want to make as many. You like DX. You'd much rather work DX than somebody stateside. What antenna are you taking? How are you building it?
That is, well, absolutely a vertical. And that right there, it'll be like a sand spike surf rod holder type thing with that vertical. This weekend, I'm going to do an antenna I've never used before. It's basically a random wire, the Ribicoff, which is a 25-foot vertical with 4-to-1 on, and I'm just going to have my one little ground strap right in the ocean. As a matter of fact, where that picture was taken, that is exactly where I'll be Saturday morning, about 8 a.m. East. Right there.
What are you taking for a backup?
I don't take a backup. I don't have a plan B. I'm with you.
Oh boy, we should talk.
Yeah.
It's a long, lonely drive home when something screws up.
That's
What's
right.
that Navy SEAL motto, Walt?
Yeah, there is
To have
a plan,
two,
but
to have one.
that's a good point, because I have had things like that happen to me 2 or 3 times. I got down one time. I got down. I had everything to go down there, and got down there and had the wrong coax, wrong fittings. They were BNC fittings, and I needed the 239. So I was like, oh man, I've screwed up. So what I do when that happens is, like, I just come home, fix whatever I need or the backup, and then just walk across the street. Matter of fact, the video that I did of the red little USDX, I don't know if you've seen that. It was a QRP video I did with my little red USDX. I don't know where it's around here somewhere. Yeah, this radio here. Anyway, I was at the beach, and I had a problem, and it was connector problem. I was like, man, oh my God. So I came home, fixed it. Just that video was filmed across the street. That's when I go from QRP on the beach to QRP in the harbor. That's when those mistakes have happened. Yeah, but I usually just, it's not really a grand production for me. It's just me filming what I would have done anyway had I not been filming a video. You know what I mean? I'm just going down there operating, and I make a video out of it. A lot of my videos, you'll see 3, 4, 5, 6 contacts in it, but I'm there for an hour or two and probably made 50 contacts. You know what I mean? I've seen people that go live and they just stream live while they're operating. That's cool. I enjoy it, especially when I'm at work. Sometimes I'm at work, I'll have I got like multiple screens. I'll have one on while I'm working on something, just listening to the guy, or a live stream or something like that happening. But that's usually how I do it. But yeah, that is a good question. And the worst thing that ever happened to me like that, Tim, was my wife and I, we go down the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which is about a 90-minute drive. And we spent the night. I got a room down there, and I had all this stuff that I was going to do when I got down there. I forget what I forgot, but I got down there and I didn't have everything set up. I was like, let's go to the bar, honey. Let's go enjoy ourselves. You know what I mean?
Well, well. First of all, Tracy, got to remember, he's carrying everything in a shopping bag. So.
Yeah, he doesn't load up the vehicle the way I do. That's for sure.
Well, you go all. You're like hardcore.
I have bags right here. I got it sitting right here. This is
nice.
And everything. I just happened to. I think I used this one the other day when I was. This is a matter of fact. This is from Poland. It's Auchan. It's a chain of grocery stores over there. But yeah, that's
cool.
My good bag.
Good stuff. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit here. All right, multi-band, no radial vertical. You've done some digging into this stuff, Walt. What did you find?
I love that antenna for one reason. It's about all I can have. Where you see that, that's right out. I mean, that is literally, I'm 10 feet from where that picture was taken. That's the fire escape out the back window here of my house. And I'm really not supposed to have an antenna. That thing from the you can barely see it. If you look at that picture to the right there, it's kind of stealthy. It's white in the sky up there. The thing about that antenna is it's got a bad reputation. Everybody calls it a dummy load, and it's a compromise. It is an absolute compromised antenna. And for, can I have something better? Yeah, if I lived in a different location. I even say in a video I did about it, there's a lid for every pot. That's the only lid that fits the pot I have, you know what I mean? And I need it. I have discovered in the last couple weeks a way to make that antenna better. And I wish I thought about this or paid more attention to other people. I got an antenna coupler. Instead of using the ATU in the radio, I put a coupler in the line. Now what I do is just cut the radio on, bring the noise level up as high as I can, and then check SWR. And I've found that it does better. And sometimes I get like a high, warning back on whatever from the line or whatever. But this thing, I couldn't make contacts on 10 meters with the ATU. I can make contacts on 10 meters now with the coupler, some decent ones too. So
very interesting.
There's something said about a manual tuner compared to an ATU. It's a better,
very much.
Is it? And I'm teaching myself how to become better at it. A manual tuner blows an ATU away. Absolutely.
That's right.
And Dari would be correct, except the guy in Japan wants 80 meters. I don't think you do 80 meters with that antenna.
It says it can do 80 meters. I even mentioned in the last video I did on it. Good luck. It's not going to happen. Unless the guy, in the same neighborhood as you, you're not going to work 80 meters with that antenna.
I would think that the railing, though, that it's mounted on is probably acting as a radial system.
Yeah, and the roof that the railing's connected to, I actually ran a little ground wire off the railing down to the roof. It's a flat metal roof underneath.
Nice.
Oh, well, there you go.
That and where I'm located at, I'm basically a football field. For you, Tracy, that's 2 hockey rinks.
We have Canadian football up here, so ours is about 1.5 times the size of yours.
Yeah, I'm not quite a full CFL football field from the water, but where I'm at, the water it goes where I'm at, and then it wraps around. So at about half of where I'm at is salt water around me too. And although I'm not on the water, I'm still getting some awesome effect for being so close to the Chesapeake Bay and out to, I'm in a great location, and that helps that antenna as well.
Absolutely. Okay, let's take a look and see what else we got to chat. Okay, you were just talking about this rig. So I want to let's compare QRP transceivers, and you got some guys on the show here that have a little bit of experience with QRP. So weigh in here, Walt. Tell us your thoughts about comparing QRP transceivers.
Well, my comparison of QRP transceivers, I did a video on it. Tracy, I've heard you in another video saying that you're not a Chinese radio guy.
Yes, that is true.
Have you noticed
I won't hold it against those who are.
Well,
I don't know. You see, because I had been weighing in my mind whether or not to get one of the G20s or one of the other ones like that, and I happened to mention it, and the sad hams come out, and it's like, you can't use Chinese radios. You can't. I won't name any names.
Tracy, we never would have known.
Well, the thing about these is that radio that you just showed to you. The thing about that is, where else can you get a radio for $100? You know what I mean? And play with it. My thought pattern when I buy these cheap radios is, if this thing doesn't work, I'm going to perform surgery. Go in and just tinker with it or do something. It's, I don't. I'm not breaking a warranty or anything like that. I don't care. You know what I mean? They're almost like Bic lighters. You know what I mean?
Harbor Freight.
Yeah,
they're the Harbor Freight of radio.
Yeah. I lucked out on that red radio. That thing is awesome. It really is. That's a great radio. Everyone I talk to, audio, they say great audio. Everything's good with it, and I didn't expect it from that radio. I actually got that to use it, and I was going to be honest, and I was, but I was going to be an honest, like, okay, this thing isn't that great, guys. You can go. No matter, there is one QRP radio, the little 3-band or whatever. I tell them, I wasted my money so you wouldn't have to. You know what I mean? I everything I got it to be. Hey, Tim, your ears are probably burning. We were talking about it.
It's late for Tim.
It is. Yeah. It's very late.
Send them a link.
Yeah.
He'll come on.
It's either very late or very early.
Early. But with QRP radios, that was my thing. I don't know if you were joking or serious. I don't, or if any of you guys have the G90, though. I will tell you that. I know it's a Chinese radio, Tracy, but that radio is absolutely, to me, amazing. I love that thing. It's just
one of the things that I was going to suggest as we go on with this series, right? And if you had a budget of, I don't know, $500 or something, and you wanted to put together a whole radio system, right, to be able to work, multi-bands, and I mean, what would you do? I mean, would you go and buy like a Minion Mini or something, or like one of these little radios like that? I mean, and as a little project, we should see what each other comes up with. I got dibs on the USDX.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if someone said, knowing what I know, brand new ham, just got his general. Let's say he just got his general, and he was going to he wanted to operate HF. I would, for $500, I'd like Prime Day. The G90 is $399 from Radiality. I would buy that. There's $400 done. Okay. Find a way to build your own antenna, be it a dipole or whatever. Just make something, infed half wave. Just get if you're not into building it, go buy someone's 49-to-1. There's some out there for $50. Now you got $50 left. Spend the other.
Oh, you can do it. You can do a little bit better than that, I think.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Yeah, you know a guy.
I know a guy.
Go on Amazon. Get a cheap power supply, and you're on the air. And I'm gonna tell you right now, having had that G90 for a year and a half or so, 20 watts. I would have never thought that 20 watts is not much different than 100 watts if you have the right antenna and you're just 20 watts. 20 watts.
One S unit. And yet there are guys that will argue and argue and argue. No, I got to run 100 watts. I got to run 100 watts. Yeah, and it's like, okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Fill your boots.
He's with it.
But the step from 10 to 20, I can tell you right now, the step from 10 to 20 is a big step. I know because I operate a lot of 10 watt, SSB QRP. The step for me, big difference from 10 to 20, definitely from 5 to 20. But from 20 to 10, I all the time I get, people coming back to me when I say I'm 20 watts, and they're like, wow, you know what I mean? I can't believe you're 20 watts, and I'm like, yeah, it's 20 watt. I'm on the Zygo G90, just pushing 20 watts. And they're like, that's amazing. I mean, people don't realize that, like you said, one S unit, you can make that up with a good antenna.
And this is all SSB though, too. You guys are talking about. I mean, you could go a lot lower with digital and CW.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Right. I just said the 10 dB kick. It's like operating 200 watts, and
All right, what else we got here? We got some more good stuff. All right, we're coming to something which I have a long fascination with, medium wave DXing. Now I know you did this from Hawaii, but did you get started I think you said you got started in medium wave DXing when you were younger, right, Walt?
I did. I've been a medium wave DXer for 50 years now. I'm old. I'm 60, but it's I love medium wave DXing. It's always been it was the entry drug to radio for me. You know what I mean? It was, I still do it. Every morning I drive in the morning at like 5 a.m. and I have about a 25-mile drive. And I start on my radio as I'm driving. I go at one end of the band to the other. Matter of fact, this morning I listened to Zoomer Radio up in Ontario. You know what I mean? I just go up and down the AM and 7:40 a.m. I've done that forever. I've built loop antennas when I was younger, and I've done all kinds of stuff. Matter of fact, there's a really good, we were talking about YouTube channels. My lowest watched videos that I ever do are AM DXing, and I mean, people just don't. I guess it's a love of mine, but it's not that popular. There's a really good. I highly recommend it, Tracy. DX Central. It's a guy down in Louisiana. He's just hardcore. He's a ham, but hardcore medium wave DXer. I watch. He does a live stream on Friday nights, and he's he's really into antennas too. The CAS antenna for AM medium wave DX, or he builds those in his yard. Does loops. Really big SDR guy. I tell you what, that was the thing that really got me almost over becoming a ham too. Was I discovered SDRs through medium wave DXing. You know, I got the little. I think I got one right here. I got a couple of these.
Not ham radio. People use tubes.
Yeah, but you know, I got one. Being able to see the waterfall, that's where I learned all that, you know, from DXing and seeing the spectrum and the band or whatever. I'm like, this is so cool. And that just kept right on going, because I left medium wave up to short wave, and I'm like, hey, let me check this out. Hey, these guys on 20 meters, this is cool. I want to do this. And yeah, that was part of it as well.
Hey, Tracy, can you put that picture back up because is that the little the receiver? Is that the little Texan or whoever's got that name on it?
Yeah, that's the Texan 360.
Yeah, how
I travel with. It's great because it's an SSB also.
Right.
It's sideband. I can listen to sideband on that, but I like it. The reason I travel with that is because, you know, I can plug that antenna with a cable into that radio. Where you know, most of them are like passive induction, where you just hold the radio up to a loop, you know, for operate it. That one right there, I travel that radio because I have a short cable. You can barely see it to plug into that. And I have the newer version of that now. It's a little orange radio. It's the 365 Texan. Those are great little radios.
Okay.
That loop is also Texan. That's a AN200 Texan loop. Medium
I've been
wave
looking
loop.
at that radio for like on and off for years, and I was like, you know what? It looks like it'd be a nice little radio. So nice. Okay. Cool.
Well, it's made in China though. Tracy might.
Tracy don't want it.
Made in Japan. Made in Japan is this radio behind me, and one of the reasons that this is an ICOM IC7410, and one of the reasons I really like this radio is, unlike most ham radios, ICOM did not cripple the AM broadcast band or the long wave bands. So it actually, the ARRL review of it made a note of the fact that it's actually a really good radio below 1.6 megahertz.
Getting back to I'm not trying to put the G90, but G90 gets medium wave as well. So when I go over to Poland with it, I do the same thing with that. Matter of fact, I have enough adapters and connectors. I'll hook that loop up to my G90 and do some medium wave DXing with it. I have a Hammerland HQ 180 over here also. That's my ultimate medium wave DXing machine right there.
Oh, fantastic, man! I think I could do a whole show just on medium wave DXing, but I think the rest of us are probably nodding off a bit. We've only got a few minutes left. Do you want to spend just a minute talking about a tape measure antenna, Walt?
Yeah, you know what? This was an idea that just came to me. I saw other people doing, you know, like Yagis and stuff like that with it, and I was sitting at work. In the office I'm in, I'm looking around the office, and there's all these tape measures laying around. I'm like, you know what? I got an idea. And I took my pole, the one on the left, the red one, that was mine. Everyone, the 6 on the other side. Fortunately, the guys I stole them from for the weekend don't realize that they were gone. I put them back. But yeah, I said I'm gonna make a quarter wave ground plane out of these things. And so I took the up to basically every one of them to 16 feet 5 inches, put an alligator clip on the bottom at the feed point, and I actually used Tim's choke on that, his choke balun on that, the 1-to-1, and plugged it in, and man, that was fun. That was just me goofing off, and it ended up being, I'll be honest with you, it was a good antenna. It worked well.
Very cool. I love stuff like that. I've got something that I'm working on. I've reached out to the gentleman at Ballon Designs, and I think I'm going to order one of his to do a special project next year, maybe for field day. That's along those same lines, but I haven't seen anybody do anything with this. I bought something used off another ham, and he was telling me about this antenna that they made at field day, and it's like, oh, I got to try that. That's really cool. So. Anyway, we're coming up to the end. Go ahead, sorry. Walt.
No, I've been thinking about making a square PVC pipe, square brace, and making a Moxon out of tape measures. I was thinking about doing that. That would be cool. I could take it to the beach and just hang it and let it be a vertical Moxon.
I did that once. Yeah.
Remind me to never let you walk around my garage.
Yeah.
If you're missing the
K6
tape,
KWI, it wasn't a slinky, just an FYI. There's something a little bit more unique, for sure.
Can't wait to see this.
Well, we're coming to the top of the hour, guys. You know what, Walt? This has been a fantastic discussion. Thanks so much for being with us.
thanks so much for having me, guys. This has been a blast.
Chris, any parting shots?
Actually, Walt, I had a great time, and keep doing what you're doing, man. You're answering a lot of questions for folks, I think, out there. So that's all good. It's all good.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim, from your side?
Oh, for sure. I'm going to keep watching Walt. It's always something interesting.
Yeah.
He sure is. Got a few more comments. I'm just going to run through here.
Go.
Tim, go to bed. Go to bed.
Yeah, really.
You need your energy for cranking out all those videos.
Tim's been looking at my notebook. I'm going to build a delta loop for 10 meters here in a couple weeks in Poland. I think he was peeking in my book.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody who's been watching. Sorry, Tim, did I give you your last?
Yeah,
last
you did.
word?
Wasn't very memorable, but it's okay. Be back next month.
I'm juggling stuff over here, and it's late for a guy who gets up early and works out first thing in the morning.
The altitude.
Okay, you know what? We may have to go a little bit over time, Walt, because I certainly can't answer this question. And here's something that about the G90.
The G90 with the Slide 100DX and the foldable whip. That is my main setup. That is what I use. That's my go-to rig right there.
Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, Dan, thanks for the comment. Thanks to everybody who commented. Every time you comment, we may not get to you right away. We may not directly acknowledge you, but we're reading them all. We appreciate all of them. It really gives the hour some extra energy. And you know what? Thanks so much for joining us in this time. So we're going to pull the plug now. The three guys who are with me, hang on. We'll meet in the studio afterwards. But everybody else, thank you. 7-3.
7-3, everybody.
73.